You are now listening to the Pure Gold Business Podcast, the show built for business owners who are serious about doing the work, the real work, of building something that lasts. Every week, we bring you straight talk on the systems, the strategy, and the mindset shifts that separate businesses that struggle from businesses that scale. I'm your host, Angelo Cottingham, founder of Pure Gold Business Solutions. And whether we're going deep on a concept, sitting down with a fellow business owner, or working through your challenges live on air, one thing stays the same. You're going to leave this show with something you can use. So grab a pen, grab a notepad, and get ready for today's show. Let me ask you a question before we even get into today's episode. Have you ever given everything you had to something and it still wasn't enough? Not enough because you didn't try hard enough, or because you were lazy or late or half committed. I'm talking about the kind of not enough where you showed up early, you stayed late, you did the job that wasn't yours to do because somebody had to, and you were the one who stepped up. You covered for people who were supposed to be over you, supposed to be leading you, and you did it without complaining because you thought that's what building a future looked like. And then one day, it doesn't matter. One day, all of that gets erased in a single conversation. One day, someone who's supposed to know your work ethic, who's supposed to know your character, looks at you like you're disposable. Like everything you've built up to that point doesn't mean a thing, and don't even give you the respect of an explanation. They just react in anger, in assumption, in a rush to judgment that isn't even based on what actually happened. If you've been there, I need you to know right now, before we go any further, you are not alone, and more importantly, you are not crazy for being angry about it. If this is hitting, this episode is going to be for you. But before we get into that, I want to take a quick second to acknowledge something. This is episode 10 of the Pure Gold Business Podcast. Now, that might not sound like a big deal to you, but here's a stat that might change your mind. Most podcasts don't even make it past episode 3. A lot of people start this thing with all the excitement in the world, and by episode 2 or 3, life gets in the way, motivation dries up, and the mic goes quiet. Forever. We're on episode 10, and I want to be honest with you. That's not because every week has been easy, because it hasn't. That's not because I have it all figured out, or because business has been perfect, or because my personal life has been some kind of fairy tale while we've been recording these episodes. It's the opposite, actually. Some of these episodes, including this one, came out of weeks where I didn't feel like showing up. Weeks where I had every reason to quit, to go quiet, to just say, I'll pick this back up when things calm down. But here's what I've learned, and it's actually the whole point of today's episode. Showing up, even when people or situations try to knock you off your square, is how you separate yourself from everybody else who stopped at episode 2 or whatever it is that they're doing if it's not a podcast. So if you're still here with us at episode 10, thank you, genuinely, because that means you're the kind of person who sticks with something past the point where it's convenient. And that's exactly the kind of person today's episode is for. Let's get into it. So that scenario I opened with, the job, the disrespect, the being treated like you're disposable after years of proving yourself, that's real. That happened. And if it's happening to you, I want you to sit with how that made you feel for a second, because we're about to zoom out from that. Here's what I've learned over the last 2 years, and it's honestly one of the most important lessons of my life. This isn't even about a job per se. This is a loyalty situation, a loyalty problem, and it shows up everywhere. It shows up in romantic relationships where you give and you give and you give and you think that's what love looks like, until you find out the person you've been giving everything to has been moving in a completely different direction the entire time. It shows up in friendships, the ones you'd have dropped anything for. The ones where you were there for the 2 a.m. phone calls and the emergencies and the moves and the breakups. And when you finally start asking questions, when you finally start noticing something's off, you don't get honesty. You get gaslit. You get told you're imagining things. You're being paranoid, that you're too sensitive. And it shows up in business, in partnerships, in the very job scenario we just talked about. Somebody takes what you give, your time, your loyalty, your effort, and the second you ask a real question, the second you stop absorbing whatever they've been doing without pushing back, you end up becoming the problem. Let me say that again because I need it to really land. The moment you stop accepting bad behavior from a partner, a friend, a business partner, an associate, an employer, is the exact moment they try to make you the villain in the story. They gaslit you. That's not what happened. You're overreacting. I don't know what you're talking about. You're overthinking. Or they ghost you. Silence. No explanation. No closure. Just gone. As if years of loyalty just evaporate because you finally asked for the truth. Or, this one stings the most, they flip the narrative completely. Suddenly, you're the toxic one. You're the difficult one. You're the one who can't be reasoned with. When all you did was refuse to keep tolerating something that was never okay in the first place. And here's the disappointing part, the most disappointing part. The people you fight hardest for are very often the same people who will discard you the second you stop being convenient to their behavior. You read that right. You heard that right. The very people you defended, the very people you made excuses for, the very people you gave the benefit of the doubt to over and over. They are often the ones who throw you away the fastest once you finally require something better from them. And I want to tell you, that's not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of what they were only ever capable of giving you in the first place. Now, look, I'm going to give you the actual shifts in a minute. The real strategy for what to do when you're standing at this exact crossroad. But if what I just said is already hitting heavy on you, if you already know right now that you're done being loyal to people, places, and situations that were never loyal to you as well, you don't have to wait until the end of this episode to do something about it. If you want to work with me, go to puregobusiness.com/start. That's it. We'll talk, no pressure, no pitch, just the first real steps toward taking control of your life instead of waiting for somebody else to hand you the permission. So, with that being said, here's the belief I need you to let go of today. Loyalty by itself is not a virtue. I know that sounds harsh. We're raised to believe loyalty is one of the highest values a person can have. Stick by your people, stick by your job, stick by your partner. Don't be a quitter. Don't be disloyal. But nobody ever finishes that sentence for you because the truth is, loyalty is only a virtue when it's mutual, when it's reciprocated, when the person or the place you're loyal to is equally invested in your well-being, your growth, your respect. Loyalty to someone that isn't loyal back isn't virtue. It's a losing move on the chessboard. It's you sacrificing your own pieces, your time, your sanity, your self-respect for an opponent who was never planning to protect you in return. And once you see that clearly, you're never going to be able to unsee it again. The first shift is learning to recognize the pattern before it costs you 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, the rest of your life. Here's what the pattern looks like every single time. You start asking questions. Why did this happen? What's actually going on? Why am I being treated this way after everything I've done? And instead of getting an honest answer, you will probably get one of these three responses. Gaslighting, where they tell you that what you clearly saw, clearly heard, clearly experienced didn't happen. or didn't happen the way you think it did. They rewrite the story right in front of you, and they expect you to just accept the rewrite. Ghosting, where instead of answering, they just disappear. No conversation, no accountability, no closure, just silence, and you're left to sit with questions that will never get answered because answering would require them to admit something they just straight up don't want to admit. Or the flip, where you become the bad guy, where the person who did the actual harming turns around and makes you look unreasonable, difficult, toxic, simply because you stopped tolerating what they were doing. I need you to hear this clearly. These are not misunderstandings. These are responses. They are what people do when they get caught and they don't want to take ownership, when they don't want to take accountability. The sooner you can recognize that pattern in a job, in a relationship, in a friendship, in a partnership, the sooner you stop wasting years that you can't get back hoping that it'll be different the next time. Here's where the strategy actually starts. Let's say you're in a job right now, and if your job situation looks like the one I just described, where you've given everything and gotten disrespect in return, the answer isn't to blow up in a fit of emotion. I understand the anger. Trust me, I understand. I felt it. But the move isn't to react. The move is to build. Start building a source of income that matches or exceeds what that job is paying you before you ever hand in that resignation letter. This means going all in on your business. Yes, but strategically, not recklessly, not out of spite, not because you want to prove a point to somebody who probably won't even notice you're gone until it's too late for them. You build it in the background, on your terms, on your timeline, until the math is mathing, until your business income can stand on its own without the safety of the paycheck. That's not weakness. That's not being ready to leave. That's strategy. That's playing the long game instead of the emotional one. I know it's tempting to take the emotional route. Trust me. Trust me. I know all about wanting to just say, screw you, I quit, and never seeing these people again. I get it, but that's not the right way to handle it. While you're building that replacement income, you also need your emergency fund in place. 6 months up to a year of your actual living expenses saved and untouched. This fund isn't just money, it's permission. It's the thing that lets you walk away without panicking, without being desperate, and without making a decision out of fear instead of clarity. When you have that cushion, you're not begging the universe for a soft landing. You're already built the landing pad for yourself. You get to move from a position of strength and not scarcity. And that changes everything about how you show up in the final conversation, in that resignation letter, in that exit. This one is non negotiable. And it's the one people skip because emotions get in the way. No matter how you were treated, no matter how unfair, how disrespectful, how enraging the situation was, you exit with dignity and in the work context professionally. Every single time you give your notice properly, you finish your responsibilities with integrity, you don't slam doors, you just send the email you really wanted to send, you don't give them a story to tell you that isn't true. Because here's the thing, if it comes down to conflict, let them be the aggressor. Let them be the ones who lose composure, who burn the bridge, destroy the relationship, who prove exactly what you already knew about them. You don't need to match their energy. You don't need to sit there and be right in their eyes. You just need to be right in your own conscience when you walk out that door. Your exit is the last chapter they get to see. Make sure it's one where they're the only person in the room, where you're the only person in the room that stayed composed. Now, here's what I want you to take with you more than anything else in this episode. You made a decision that is in the best interest of your future. That's it. That's the whole thing. And any person, any place, any relationship that has a problem with you choosing yourself and your future is something that doesn't need to be there in the first place. Distractions get removed so that you can stay connected to your purpose. That's not cold and it is not heartless. That's clarity and a half. Ever since I learned this lesson, here's how I operate. If someone shows me who they are, if they gaslight me, if they ghost me, if they try to make me the bad guy for demanding basic respect, they go on the chopping block. I either remove them, or if they remove themselves, I let them go and I move on in peace. Because I'm not here to go back and forth with anybody anymore. I have goals, I have dreams, I have targets. And anyone who has become an obstacle to those things has taught me exactly what they are: a distraction. And distractions must be removed. If you take nothing else from today, take this. Loyalty without reciprocity is not loyalty, it's self-sabotage. And you don't have to keep paying that price to prove you're a good person. This is exactly what the Pure Gold Business Partnership Program exists for. Not to hand you a fantasy, but to build the actual structure, the income, the strategy, the reps, the assets, so that when it's time to walk away from what isn't serving you, you're not doing it on faith, you're doing it on a plan. If what I just described is hitting a little too close to home, if you're tired of giving everything you've got to people in places that don't respect it, if you're done being loyal to situations that were never loyal to you, then here's your next step. Go to puregoldbusiness.com/start and book a strategy session with me directly. This isn't a sales pitch. That first conversation, I'm not here to sell you anything. We are going to sit down, look at exactly where you are, and build the plan to get you out of that stuck feeling and into control. Real control over your time, your income, your future, your sanity, and your respect. If you're ready to stop being loyal to what's holding you back, puregoldbusiness.com/start for a free strategy session. We will work together. We will make it happen. We will build together. We will grow together, because that's what I want for you. I don't want you sitting here questioning yourself about these terrible people who never saw your value in the first place. You deserve better than that. You deserve more. Anyone who's going to sit here and tell you that you don't deserve more, you haven't earned it, you haven't, bro, listen to me. Listen to me. There are people out there that are going to love you, respect you, that are going to not do wrong by you, not because it's beneficial to do right by you, but because it's the right thing to do right by you. I have wasted so much time, money, energy, resources that I cannot get back worrying about people who were never on my side to begin with, when I got smart enough to realize that they were never on my side to begin with. It's a very bitter pill to swallow, but I understand that it's going to be something difficult for you and you have to learn to go through it. I'm so sorry if you heard this podcast and it's something that hit real hard, because trust me, I've been there. I've been in these types of situations. I don't want to get into it because these people don't deserve the acknowledgement that I would have to give them to explain it on air. But just understand that these people are not worth being pressed about. Move on, be happy, do what you have to do to take control over your life. It is very possible. And if you don't believe me, book the strategy session and let's give it a whirl. Thank you so much for joining me on episode 10 of the Pure Gold Business Podcast. And until next time, I'm your host, Angelo Cottingham, signing off.